Rama Hare Hare. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today is Thursday. It is 25th of September. It is Ashwini Masa or Padmanabha Masa, Sukla Paksham, Chaviti Tithi. There are no Vaishnava events in the calendar, so we should move into our daily Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, so Maitreya Muni describing the Virata form and a manifestation of different limbs of Virata Rupa and all the demigods entering along with their Amsha Rupena by their expansion or Amsha. It is not complete demigod is going to take shelter, but it is Amshena. So likewise, they are all taking shelter, and then where the function of that particular limb of the Virat Rupa is getting manifested. So that living entities, all of the living entities, they will experience particular kind of things in the sense of smell, sense of touch, sense of sight, sense of hearing, and sense of hearing, like that, and also using hands, legs, and genital rectum, speaking, all these these are all getting manifested. Okay, likewise, Maitreya Muni was describing, and also when we were describing these different demigods, so Vayudeva, by the skin, he is entering into the skin. So that one it is mentioned, and also the hair of the Virat Rupa form. Nirbhinnasya charmani lokapalu adilo avishat pranena amshena samsparsham yenaso pratipadyate. So here Vayudeva has got two functions. One is the skin and also the hair and the body of the Virat Rupa. So that is Swachmasya Vinidbhinnam Vyusuhut Dishnyam Voshadehi Amshena Rovabehi Kandhum Yehi Aso Pratipadyate. So these are the two kinds of two different functions for the Vayudeva. And all demigods were mentioned once, and also Lord Brahma, it is also mentioned like enter into the genitals. Medram tasya vinidbhinnam swadishnyam ka upavishat retasa amshena yenaso anandam pratipadyate. Swadishnyam ka upavishat. Ka means it is the Lord Brahma. When he entered retasa amshena yenaso anandam pratipadyate. So living entities, they experience the sexual pleasure. Okay, that is the function of the genital, and where Lord Brahma, he entered Retasa Amshena. So here demigods are entering along with their Amshas there. So likewise, Gudam Pumsa Vinid Bhinnam Mitro Lokech Avishat Payuna Amshena Yenaso Visargam Pratipadyate. And Mitra, the demigod Mitra, he entered into the rectum part with his Amsha. Payuna Amshena Yenaso Visargam Pratipadyate. And then correspond, because of that, living entities, they were able to go for stool and urine. They can pass the stool and urine. And then further, Hastavasti Vinidbhinnau Indraha Swarpatihi Avishat Vataya Amshena Purusho Yaya Vrittim Pratipadyate. And Lord Indra, he has entered into the hands of the Lord, so that living entities are able to Vrittim Pratipadyate. They were able to gather their livelihood using their hands. Yaya Vrittim Pratipadyate. And then further, the legs. So, Padu Vasya Vinidbhinnau Lokesho Vishnuhu Avishat Gatya Swa Amshena Purusho Yaya Prapyam Prapadyate. And Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, he has entered into the feet of the Virat Rupa form, by which the living entities can move from one place to another place. So, Padavasti Vinidbhinna Lokeshu Vishnu Avishat Gatva Swa Amshena Purusho Yaya Prapyam Prapadyate. So, Vishnu entered by his Swa Amshena, by his personal Amsha, or the expansion. So, here in this, for this particular shloka, whenever it is mentioned as the Vishnu entered into the lotus feet, the feet of Virat Rupa. At the time, the meaning was given, he is the Vishnu, the name of demigod, but not the supreme personality of Godhead. But same thing, Prabhupada has described in the second canto, 10th chapter, 25th shloka, where he described, because the moving is a particular very important for the living entities to carry out the functions to perform sacrifices. We have come across that one. Prabhupada described that this is the Vishnu has taken the very important position. So here, when this Srimad Bhagavatam was compiled, getting the meanings for the different Sanskrit words, Prabhupada has given that function to the disciples, whereas Prabhupada was engaged in writing the purports. So when we see such kind of things, we need to take the purports of the because the meanings can be having here specifically it is mentioned as the Vishnu, and also the same thing in the 26th chapter of third canto it is again mentioned Hari. Hari and Vishnu, there whenever they are used, it is addressing to Vishnu only. But here Prabhupada has described that one in the second canto, 10th chapter. When we have got this manifestation of the Virat Rupa, this is the I think we have already gone three cycles of the same similar topics. In the second canto, in the beginning of the second canto, and the end of the second canto, beginning of the third canto as well, little bit. But now once again we are seeing. So the same concepts are being repeated again and again. Again, it is going to be repeated in the 26th chapter. So here Vishnu, it is nothing but our Vishnu only. So Padavasti Vinibhinna Lokeshu Vishnu Avishat Gatva Swa Amshena Purusho Yaya Prapyam Prapadyate. So that living entities can move from one place to another place. So further, Maitreya Muni describing about further manifestation of different limbs. So now, what are the limbs have been done? Five Jnanendriyas, five Karnendriyas. Those were 10 of those limbs were described by Maitreya Muni. So further, now Maitreya Muni is mentioning about the intelligence and the mind, and then the ego, and then the consciousness. The four of these elements, and then later on in the from the head of the Virat Rupa to down to the legs. So 14, all the planetary systems got also established, and where the different demigods taken shelter of those planets. That also he is describing. Okay, we are going to start from the third canto, chapter 6, verse number 23 onwards. We shall cover few more verses. There are not big purports for it. बुद्धिं चास्य विनिर्भिन्नं वागीशोदिष्ण्यमाविशत् बोधेन अंशेन बोद्धव्यं प्रतिपत्तिः यतो भवेत् बुद्धिं चास्य विनिर्भिन्नं बुद्धिः intelligence बुद्धिश्चास्य asya of the gigantic form of the Virata Rupa. Buddhim chasya vinidbhinnam, whenever it got manifested, vinidbhinnam being separately manifested. Then Vagesho Dishnyam Avishat, Brahma, the Lord of the Vedas, Vagisha, Vak Ishaha, Brahma, Lord of the Vedas, Dishnyam, the controlling power, Avishat, he entered in there. So Brahma, he also previously by his Amshena entered into the genital as well. Now he is entering into the intelligence as well here. Vagesho Dishnyam Avishat. And then further, Bodhena Amshena Bodhavyam, Bodhena. Bodhen Amshena. So with his part of intelligence, Bodhavyam, the matter of understanding. Bodhen Amshena Bodhavyam, with his part of intelligence. So here, what is his limb is the intelligence, and what is the objective? Bodhavyam, the matter of understanding. Bodhen Amshena Bodhavyam Pratipattihi Yato Bhavet. Pratipattihi, understood. The living entity is understood because of his entering into that intelligence, and also the matter of understanding the objective. Pratipattihi yato bhavet, by which so it becomes. Okay, buddhim chasya vinidbhinnam vagishod disnyam avishat bodhen amshena bodhavyam pratipattihi yato bhavet. The translation. When the intelligence of the gigantic form separately became manifest, Brahma, the Lord of the Vedas, entered into it with the partial power of understanding, and thus the object of understanding is experienced by the living entities. Okay, we shall move on to the next shloka. That is intelligence. Next is the mind. So for the mind, the presiding deity is the moon god. हृदयं चास्य निर्भिन्नं चन्द्रमादिष्ण्यमाविशत् मनस अंशेन येनासौ विक्रियां प्रतिपद्यते हृदयं चास्य निर्भिन्नं हृदयं च अस्य so the heart hृदयं च also asya of the gigantic form vinidbhinnam being manifested separately, the heart is being manifested separately. Then Chandrama is the moon demigod. Dishnyam avishat, this name with controlling power, he entered into the Hridayam. Hridayam chasti nirbhinnam chandrama dishnyam avishat. Then Manasa Amsena, so partly with mental activity, Manasa Amsena, partly with mental activity, Yena, by which also the controlling, the living entity, also the living entity, Vikriyam Pratipadhyate, and then he resolution, it transacts, Pratipadhyate, it transacts. So this is mind is the place where yat sankalpa vikalpabhyam. I want to do it, I don't want to do it. I like it, I don't like it. Such kind of resolutions will be manifested from the mind. So this is when the Chandrama he entered into with his partly with the Manasa Amshena, partly with mental activity. So that living entities they think. That's why living entities have got impacted by the moon god during the Amavasya and the Paurnami times. Most of the people's mind it impacts. There is certain kind of impact on the living entities. They can practically experience. Some of the mentally disabled people, they exaggerated during those times. That one also can be perceived, but one has to, when they understand the scriptures, they can relate those things. If they forget it, then they would see in only the material perspective. Okay, so this is Hrudayam chasenit bhinnam chandrama dishnyamavishat manasa amshena yenaso vikriyam pratipadhyate. After that, the heart of the gigantic form separately manifested itself, and into it entered the moon demigod with partial mental activity. Thus, the living entity can conduct his mental speculations. Okay, so now mind, intelligence and mind, these two are done. These two are the subtle elements, and then third one is the ego. So here. Here, Lord Rudra, he entered into ego. Okay, so this is Atmanam chasi nirbhinnam abhimano avishat padam karmana amshena yenaso kartavyam pratipadhyate. So Atmanam chasya vinirbhinnam. Atmanam, the false ego. Atmanam cha also asya of gigantic form. Nirbhinnam. Atmanam chasi nirbhinnam. Nirbhinnam being separately manifested. So sometimes here Vinidbhinnam and then Nirbhinnam. They're all giving the same meanings. Okay, it depends on the context, the shloka. To form the chandas, the grammatical thing, they use the words like that. Nidbhinnam, being separately manifested. Then abhimano avishat padam, abhimanaha. It is the false identification. Avishat entered and padam in that position. And by that, karmana amshena yenasau, karmana amshena, activities, they are performed. Activities, amshena by the part, yena by which, asau, the living entity, kartavyam pratipadhyate, objective activities manifested, pratipadhyate or takes in. When he thinks that, okay, this is my thing, then he will do it. If it is not his, then he doesn't do it, his activity. So I want to eat it, I wanted to move my hands, I am getting this thing. So many of those activities, when it happens, then it is the abhimanaha, atmanam abhimana. So this is the false ego, false identification. Atmanam chase nirbhinnam, abhimano avishat padam, karmana amshena yenasau kartavyam pratipadhyate. So, translation. Thereafter, the materialistic ego of gigantic form separately manifested itself, and into it entered Rudra, the controller of false ego, with his own partial activities, by which the living entity transacts his objective actions. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Can I request Rasleela Mataji, would you like to read this small purport, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The false ego of materialistic identity is controlled by the demigod Rudra, an incarnation of Lord Shiva. Rudra is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord who controls the mode of ignorance within material nature. The activities of the false ego are based on the objective of the body and mind. Most persons conducted by the false ego are controlled by Lord Shiva. When one reaches a finer version of ignorance, he falsely thinks of himself as the Supreme Lord. That egoistic conviction of the conditioned soul is the last snare of the illusory energy which controls the entire material world. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, this is describing about the false ego of the materialistic identity is controlled by the demigod Rudra. So this is false ego is the ahammameti, yo avagraha ahammameti iti etasmin yojitastvaya. So it is the Lord's external energy because it is acting and here in the mode of ignorance. So here Rudra, Lord's external energy is the Durga Devi and the Lord of Durga Devi's husband is the Lord Rudra here in this material world. So this is how, and he is also this false ego of material identity is controlled by the demigod Rudra, an incarnation of Lord Shiva. Rudra is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord who controls the mode of ignorance within material nature. So here, this is described in the Brahma Samhita that Kshiram Yatadadi Vikara Vishesha Yoga संजायते नहि ततः पृथगस्ति हेतोः यः सिम्बुतामपि तदा समुपैति कार्यात् गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. So like the milk is transformed into yogurt and then yogurt cannot transform into milk. So but there is difference, there is no difference. Yogurt is also came from milk, but it is not milk. Likewise, Rudra is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, but he is not the Supreme Lord who controls the mode of ignorance within the material nature. And the activities of the false ego are based on the objective of the body and mind. So this is body and mind. We use when we think yet sankalp vikalpabhyam vartate kama sambhavaha. When we think of these different kinds of sankalpas and vikalpas, we use our body to carry out this activity. Okay, so that is how the body and mind come together. So mind always, this is ममैवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूतः सनातनः मनसस्तानि इन्द्रियाणि प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति मनःस्थानि इन्द्रियाणि प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति. So headed by the mind, living entities are struggling for existence in this material world. Okay, so that is how the mind acts. And most persons conducted by the false ego are controlled by Lord Shiva. So false ego is whenever they think that I am this body, and then when they think that one I am this body, then they wanted to fulfill the needs of the body. What body demands, it wanted to see, it wanted to enjoy, eat, and it wanted to hear something, it wanted to touch something, it wanted to smell something, and it wanted to desire some kind of pleasures for the mind, for that one, so many things, and for they are all manifesting through the ignorance, identifying oneself as the body. Such kind of people, they approach the demigods. Out of those demigods, Lord Shiva will be very pleased very quickly if we worship Lord Shiva, and then he will grant those benedictions. Till later on, Sukadeva Goswami describes for the Parikshit Maharaj questions why the devotees of Lord Shiva are very rich and opulent, and whereas Lord Shiva is always staying in the smashana chakranili dhuli dhumra vikinu vidyota jatakalapaha bhasmavghunto amla rukmadeho devastribihi pasyati devaraste. So he is always in the smashanas, the graveyards, keeping all his body tinged with the bhasmas, the ashes. But all of his devotees are very opulent. Why? His devotees are opulent, whereas the devotees of the Lord, the Krishna or Vishnu, they're always poverty stricken. That one Parikshit question, then Sukadeva Goswami describes very nicely. Whenever Lord thinks that he is my devotee, then he would free themselves from the all kinds of materialistic things. And there is again, there is what is that one? Below Mangala Thakur's, there is a nice kirtan about in the Chaurastakam. So there he also mentioned Dhanam cha manam cha tetendriyani pranam chatva mama sarvameva. And there one more point, it is the what is that one? Yes, akinchani padasritam yaha karode bhikshum patigeha henam kenapyoho bhishana chaurayid drushtahasuto va na jagatrayepi. So likewise, he takes off everything from the devotees. So he would free themselves from the material entanglement. Okay, so that's why Suta Goswami in the beginning, one has to approach Vishnu only so that he will get all our spaciousness. Okay, when one reaches in a finer version of ignorance, he falsely thinks of himself as the Supreme Lord. That egoistic conviction of the controlled conditioned soul is the last snare of the illusory energy, which controls the entire material world. So this is the last snare. He falsely thinks of himself as the Supreme Lord. This is again one of the Prabhupada's statements that Arohi Kruchena Param Padam Tataha Patantyadaha Anadruta Yushmadangrayaha. Some people, they think that after performing so many austerities and penances, they think that finally they make mistakes at the lotus feet of the Lord. Some people think that I am the supreme God, or there is no God. In such a way, they make mistakes at the lotus feet of the Lord. So that is, even though they perform so many austerities, they fall down from their position. Okay, so that is the last snare, last snare of the illusory energy, which controls the entire material world. This is Lord's external or illusory energy. यस्मिन् यदा पुष्करनाभमाय धुरन्तया स्पृष्टदेहः पृथग्दृश्यः कुर्वन्ति तत्र हि अनुकम्पे कृपां न साधो दैवबलात् कृते क्रमम्. This is all यस्मिन् यदा पुष्करनाभमायया, illusory energy of the Lord. Okay, so likewise, Brahma describes the illusory energy of the Lord. It works like that. Okay, so here the intelligence, the mind, and then the false ego. So these are all entered, and the corresponding demigods, they have taken shelter of those limbs. Okay, likewise, आत्मानं चास्य निर्भिन्नम् अभिमानो अविषत्पदं कर्मण अंशेन येनासो कर्तव्यं प्रतिपद्यते. Okay, likewise, Maitreya Muni describing these things to Vidura. Okay, we shall, yeah, that's all we cover for today. 3 slokas. We shall cover next tomorrow further. Okay, these are the 3 of the elements. Later on, consciousness is also manifested, and for consciousness, which is the chaitya, the chittam, and because of consciousness, the Virat Rupa can function and do all things. So far, there is demigods are entering by their partial expansions only. Okay, again coming back to this Virata form here. So here Brahma is put up in the top of the head of the Virata form, that is the intelligence, and the same Brahma is also here as part of the Prajapati. And here on this one side is Mitra and Varuna are also here. And on his tongue and his mouth there is a fire god, and then on the nostrils there is Ashwini Kumaras, and at the ears Dig Devatas or Digpalas. Um, and then at the hands, this Indra and other demigods. Okay, so further what else we could see here? Maybe the skins, we would see there are some small greenish bits here. This is all the trees and the skin. Okay, it's a different, but if we just go a little bit, we have come across this one as per the second canto, first chapter, and also the last 10th chapter of the second canto. Okay, so Virata Rupa form generally for the less intelligent people. There, Sukadeva Goswami described that it is for the less intelligent people. It is not for the Naitam Kait. What is, I think that shloka, it comes from the 10th chapter. Uh, so, so in the 25th shloka, so one thing I just wanted to show about the Vishnu entering into the lotus feet of the Virat Rupa. So here, so the Supreme Lord Vishnu. So, okay, Lord as prescribed by authorities expert in trance and loving service of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. For performing such occupational duties of life, the leg is most important instrument of the body, because without the help of the legs, one cannot move from one place to another. And therefore, the Lord has special control over the legs of all human beings, which are meant for performing yajnas. So this is the Vishnu here. And here in the third canto, what I have explained before, that Pada Vasya Vinid Bhinnam Lokeshu Vishnu Avishat. Vishnu Avishat. Here it is described as the not the personality of Godhead. So here meanings of these synonyms, synonyms are given that work to the Prabhupada's disciples. They might have got this kind of meanings. So, but here in the purport, Prabhupada has personally written all the purports. Okay, this is one point just wanted to show. And then there later on, about the Virat form for the less intelligent people, this one is described that Naitam Bhavena, Bhavena. So I think so Ittam Bhavena Kadito Bhagavan Bhagavattamaha. Na Ittam Bhavena hi param drashtum arhanti surayaha. So the great transcendentalist does describe the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the pure devotees deserve to see more glorious things in transcendence beyond these features of the Virata Rupa. So here this 44 shloka described after Virata Rupa form and the different limbs and the universal creation. These are for people, just for the less intelligent people. But here, so Sukadeva Goswami describing this one. Pure devotees deserve to see more glorious things in transcendence beyond these features. Okay, so just giving a about this Virata form, and then devotees, they do not worry about the temporary Virata form or universal form of the Lord. They wanted to participate in the loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord directly with love. Okay, so that is what the devotees, pure devotees desire. Okay, that is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. We shall move to Srila Prabhupada's daily letter. So today letter to Gurudasa and November 18th, 1970, Bombay. Can I request any unallocated devotees to read this letter, please? Vijay Krishna Prabhuji, would you like to read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Amoga Prabhu. My dear Guru Das, please accept my blessings. I beg to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated from Vrindavan, as well as two previous letters dated November 10th, 1970, and two letters carried here by Mr. H.S. Gupta. I have met Mr. Gupta last evening, and his idea was to advertise so that people may know that if they go traveling in foreign countries, they may stay in temples there. But we cannot advertise like that. When someone becomes a life member, we can inform him that he may stay at our foreign temples as privilege of a life member. But we are not inviting anyone and everyone to stay as if we are in the hotel business. I am glad that you are enthusiastic about prospects in Delhi, and if you like to work there, do it. We have initiated a system for making life members, that daily 3 members must be made in Bombay, daily 2 in Calcutta, and daily 1 in Delhi. In this way, of 6 life members daily, we shall very quickly expand our society in India. This life membership is the support of our movement here, so you must stress this program especially. That will be our success. Your report from Vrindavan is good. I think you should negotiate for the first palace near Keshigat, called Lakshmi Kunj, from the Maharaj of Bharatapur. That place is just suitable for us. It should be easier to come to terms for this place also because it is vacant. If you can establish one nice palatial temple for our society in Vrindavan, that will be a great credit for you. I am awaiting your telegram or telephone call in this connection. Hope this will meet you in good health. Your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Postscriptum. Regarding Atma Ram and Sons, you can inform them that we are expecting our shipment to arrive soon. In the meantime, the old dust jackets may be distributed for our advertising purposes to Calcutta, Delhi and Bombay. At least half the quantity should be sent immediately to me here in Bombay. ACBSDS.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Any takeaway points, any bullet points, Prabhuji?
Yes, Srila Prabhupada, if you do not mind highlighting it in blue, he's saying that, quote, but we are not inviting anyone and everyone to stay as if we are in the hotel business. At the end of the first paragraph. Yes, and quote, when someone becomes a life member, we can inform him that he may stay at our foreign temples as privilege of a life member, but we are not inviting anyone and everyone to stay as if we are in the hotel business, close quote. So I think my take on this is that Srila Prabhupada is informing the receiver of this letter that there's a difference between temple and hotel. I think he's trying to inform this person that if a life member wants to stay in any ISKCON temple, he is expected to submit himself or herself to the devotional training, beginning with waking up in the morning early, and then observe all the rules and regulations related to temple worship, because temple means worship from morning till evening. In a hotel, you may worship, but it's not the same because well, I cannot say that it's not the same because no, it's not the same in the sense that in a temple we should not deviate even an inch from strict worship, because the temple is the house for the deities to inhabit, and everything happens. Everything that we do as residents in the temple is meant to please the deities and the servants of the deities. But in a hotel, if you stay in a hotel, the atmosphere, the energy changes because in the sense that I would dare to say that, and that would be also a question, is it that why is it that Srila Prabhupada is making a difference between living in a temple and living in a hotel? Maybe it's because in a hotel, Maya Devi, the external energy.
That's Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I think. So yeah, that one is hotel means it is not temple, as simple as that.
Sorry?
Hotel is just temple. It is hotel is not the temple, as simple as that. Demoniac nature, but it gives shelter. It's a business. It is, but whereas the temple.
Yes, hotels are meant for business transaction, and temple is meant for worship. So if you're residing in a temple, what is expected for you to do is for you to worship, and in a hotel, what is expected is for you to do business transactions, and that may deviate you from strict worship. That's why I think Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing so much the difference between living in a hotel and living in a temple. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
You're welcome.
Any other comments in a bullet points way, dear devotees? Okay, so here Srila Prabhupada is
Can I say something?
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
So, during that time when he was trying to expand the life membership, uh, of course, because Lakshmi was important to establish different centers, etc. So he wanted to give this facility to the life members, but at the same time he was slightly, I think, conscious of the fact or worried that uh, that this facility, the life members uh, should not just use it as if they are using this the different temples as a hotel kind of a um, concept. So I think that's what he was slightly worried about. Um, yeah. So that's it, probably. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So,
I think yes, Prabhu. If I may, Amoga Prabhu, I think that if the consciousness that temple is for strict worship is gone, then the temple would become not different from a hotel, and the strict worship would also be gone and forgotten because of how strong is the influence of the external energy. Uh, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, that is from Srila Prabhupada's letter. So Prabhupada is mentioning, so by expanding the life membership, so that to support is support of our movement here. So you must stress this program, especially we need to make those life members. But here devotees, once they become life member, they come to the temple um, and following rules and regulations and principles, chanting, and that will be our success. The Prabhupada is mentioning. We'll expand our society quickly, very quickly. Okay, so 6 letters
And Moga Prabhu, I'm sorry. Now I found the answer because these are life members. These are not pure devotees. A pure devotee, it doesn't matter if he lives in a temple or in a hotel. Everywhere he lives, his consciousness never changes. But the consciousness of a life member is not the same as the consciousness, generally speaking, it's not the same as the consciousness of a pure devotee. That's why the danger, that's why the temple president should be aware that when a life member is visiting, generally speaking, for a little amount of time, uh, he must be aware that this life member may have the consciousness of a hotel resident because he may not have pure consciousness. It's all about the consciousness. If the consciousness is as impure as the consciousness of a life member who is just starting in the process of Krishna consciousness, then there is the risk for the temple to become a hotel in the mind of the life member, because his consciousness is not yet pure. Now I got where I wanted to get in relation to my take on this part of the letter. These are life members. These are not, generally speaking, life members are not expected to act as pure devotees, because that is what they are not. Pure devotees in the material world are rare, and life members are in much more quantity. But what about the consciousness of the life member? Is it that the consciousness of a life member is the same as the consciousness of a pure devotee? I don't think so.
It is just a transformation platform for the life members. Neophytes, they come and become life members. They will gradually get into the spiritual atmosphere. It is a transformation platform.
Yes, and that's the reason why they may think that living in a temple it could be the same as living in a hotel, and that is that wrong mentality, the mentality of a neophyte. That's why Srila Prabhupada is mentioning the difference between a hotel and a temple in this letter, I think. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Okay, so that is from Srila Prabhupada's letter. And from the announcements point of view, so today evening, Thursday, at 8 p.m., we have got Krishna book Katha. So we have got Shyam Prabhuji back from India. So he'll be taking part, he'll be taking over. Okay, that is update from announcement side. And the devotees, if you have got any updates or you wanted to share anything on Krishna consciousness about the events or updates, kindly share. Okay, if there are no further, then we shall conclude and continue with further japa. वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो
Namo
नमः
Namah.
अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय श्री
Jai.
कृष्ण की जय
Jai.
कृष्ण कॉन्शियस डे एवरीवन
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी
Yeah, Meena Mataji lost her phone, so she couldn't be able to join. So hopefully, maybe in 2 days. Yeah.
मीना माता जी
Lost her phone, so
ओके
that's
हर
why
फोन
she,
ओके
yes, her phone was lost. So yeah,
थैंक यू
thank
माता
you, Prabhu. Yes.
जी हरे कृष्ण जय श्री कृष्ण